So welcome everybody to tonight's SASE Rensselaer General Election Forum, where we will be electing the next generation of our e-board. So my name is Kevin Siu, and I am one of the hosts for tonight.
My name is Christopher Trong, and I am also the second host for tonight.
Wonderful. So before we begin with the actual forum, some quick disclaimers for you live viewers out there. Again, as Eric reiterated before we started this recording, we will be recording this and posting it on our YouTube channel so people who are not here tonight will be able to view it later on. And for the best viewing experience possible, I recommend that everybody go into their setting for their layout, their Discord or their WebEx window layout, I guess you can call it, and change it to stage view so that way you can see all the beautiful faces that will be speeching tonight.
And for those who will be speaking tonight, we recommend turning on your video camera.
Yep. And so next we're going to talk quickly about how to ask questions. So we've opted to use a system called Slido. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You can either Google it or you can scan the QR code on the right side in order to access the website. And all you have to do is type in the quick 5-digit participant code, which is 58168. Type that in and you press enter, and you can submit questions and vote for the top 3 to be asked for every position. We will be going through and deleting those questions that are on there after each position is completed. So please make sure to ask appropriate questions. Let's keep it PG-13. And we will be asking the top 3 that are upvoted. And keep in mind, all candidates tonight will be asked these same questions in an order that Chris will be presenting them and presenting who they are directed to. And so every candidate will have 2 minutes on the clock to answer questions, and I will personally be timing them and giving you guys these 1-minute cue cards. Okay, I need to get rid of my background, but 1-minute cue cards, so that way you know when you've reached the halfway mark for your questioning, or for your answering, technically. So
Just to reiterate, each question that will be asked to all candidates at the same time instead of having a directed question for a specific candidate. So do not ask questions that are directed to one candidate and not the others.
All right, so shall we get started? Great. So first order of business, aside from all the disclaimers, we're just going to be quickly recapping the agenda for those who are not aware of the order we are going through. So since we have so many positions we want to focus on tonight, we will be splitting this event into 2 parts. 2 parts, one for the first 4 positions, and then the second part, which will be tomorrow evening around the same time for the remaining 4 positions. And so in this order, we are going to be presenting the vice presidential candidate first, and then moving on to secretary, treasurer, and yeah. Okay, so just a quick thing about the VP position before we bring out our candidate. So the VP position is very focused on 2 main aspects, especially from this year: alumni outreach, collaboration among other RPI or non-RPI groups to host events, and arguably one of the most important e-board functions is our SASE policy catalog, which we will go into depth. If you guys want to understand that, just DM one of us and we can definitely tell you more. But just to save time, we're going to move on to presenting our first candidate, which is Nathan Shan. All right, so Nathan, if you want to take this next 5 minutes to present yourself and talk about your campaign, the floor is all yours.
All right, well, hello everyone. I'm Nathan Shan. I'm a current sophomore, aerospace major. I am also currently one of the mentor co-heads alongside Kevin, and I'm running for vice president. So as of now, my main 3 points were to continue Tracy's work, the current VP, in terms of alumni outreach, including working with the future mentor co-heads on the alumni mentor program, which Kevin and I sort of laid the groundwork, but it's definitely a future thing that I want to help help work on. I also wanted to work alongside the president and the events director and external relations to help build our future spring reception, or whatever its successor will be called. So that'll involve communicating with companies, working with all the different people to help get that as big and as fantastic as it was supposed to be last year before Corona happened. And my last bullet point involved reaching out more to the other professional organizations on campus. I know that's one of the jobs that the vice president currently has, but I want to delve into that deeper. Right now, we work with NSBE and SHEP on maybe 1 or 2 events throughout the entire year. When I want to delve deeper into that, I want to have us collaborate more on coming up with more events, trying to come up with more professional development ideas, how we can all improve all of the members within all of our groups, and really just come together as all of the professional organizations at RPI. Other than that, I was really tentative to really get into the weeds on what I wanted to do, because I know that Kevin, having one presidency, wanted to change up a lot of the e-board roles, especially the vice president. So I guess other than what I laid out so far, that's about it.
All right. So the first question we have for you today is, what ideas do you have for future VP Connections events?
In terms of other professional organizations, or?
I guess so.
All right, yeah. So I wanted to get together with them and try and hold more like specific events. So like how SASE already has their resume building events, their interview events. I wanted to do something like that, but also more collaborative with the other organizations. So right now they have their own ones, we have our own ones, but it'd be really cool if we could come together and have all of the connections that say NSBE has, because they're an older organization, help build an event with all of their contacts so that we could help both of the membership groups in terms of building the resume, getting interview help, so on and so forth.
All right. Now, as a secretary has a lot of responsibilities in terms of alumni connections, this next question is, how do you plan on reaching out to alumni and sustaining that connection during and after your term?
Okay, so that's something that as mentor co-head I've already worked on. Kevin, Tracy, and I were in a meeting last week where we compiled a list of all the current alumni that we know or future alumni. And so I want to continue building onto that list, try and reach out to some of the older members. I know that Tracy had reached out to Dee, who some of you may or may not know. Yeah. And I
Sorry
want to
about
try,
that.
yeah, that's fine. And I want to try and like get my own connection with her, because I know that she has a lot of useful information. I'm sure she'd love to like come back, help out SACE. And I'm sure there's other people in that list that I haven't personally reached out to. I'm sure lots of people haven't personally reached out to. I would also be willing to give back all sorts of useful and great information that we could use to help build the alumni mentor program, build alumni events to help them come back and give back to SACE, as I'm sure some of them might want to.
All right. All right. Sorry about that earlier. I meant the VP position, vice president position, instead of the secretary. What is the most valuable lesson you have learned this past year from being a mentor program co-lead or otherwise?
So this year has been a rough one in terms of balancing all of my schoolwork and otherwise. So time management has definitely been something that I'm still working on, but have definitely been getting better on. And also, it's just not even like something that you can really describe. It's just the experience that you pick up working along someone as good as Kevin, learning like how to organize different docs, learning how to put together and reach out to people. It's just like a large amount of little skills that you pick up working as mentor co-head that I think I'll be able to apply as vice president.
And those are the 3 questions we have for you. Next up, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Nathan. So I think, yeah, he was our only VP candidate. So just for those that either just joined or are unsure about our election process, we usually keep all voting logistics towards the end. So if you would like to know more about that, please stick till the end. So next up, let's move right into the secretary position. So for the secretary, the roles at which they do. Chris, do you mind going to the next slide? All right. So also relatively simple and straightforward. As many of you know, Eric this year is our current secretary, and so he has been dealing a lot with GBM and recording meeting minutes if you've attended our e-board meetings. He also happens to be in charge of the membership documents and running, the setup for this whole election process. And so let's present our first secretary candidate for the day. Eli, you have 5 minutes on the clock. Please take this time to present yourself.
All right, hi. Well, my name is Eli, as you all know. I am a business management major here at RPI, and in terms of my past experience for similar positions, in high school, I was the secretary and then later the vice president of my high school Spanish National Honor Society, which is an organization that has more than 100 active members, of which participate regularly in our planned events. I personally have heavy experience with communications as a participant in competitive speech and debate, as well as being a team lead for a popular local restaurant. I greatly understand the need for organization and transparency in both large and professional-based clubs, of which SASE is both. And so I would strive in order to make sure that everyone is on the same page and very concretely with, we are doing this and this is how it's going to work. With my prior experience and my general enthusiasm for the position, I will utilize my skills and also my connections as a class rep on the Student Council Underrepresented Students Committee in order to create new ways for members to stay excited and engaged with SASE, as well as having outreach programs in order to reach more students that may or may not have known about SASE's existence previously.
All right, so the next candidate we have is Eric Tung. Eric, you have 5 minutes to present yourself. Go for it.
Yes, sir. Is my mic working? Can everyone hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
I will keep my introduction rather short. Hi, my name is Eric Tung. I am a second-year mechanical engineering student here at Rensselaer. I am the current secretary for SASE Rensselaer, and so you may or may not have seen me at GBMs and or e-board meetings. I have 3 main points that I would like to cover today: active communication, virtual platforms, and developing academic resources for SASE members. As this year's secretary, I've had the opportunity and the honor, of course, to be delegated the role of communicating with the executive board positions as well as the entire club itself. Weekly, you may or may not have seen me at general body meetings where I have to coordinate both the executive board plans for future events as well as public opinions about those events. Before that, I was also freshman rep where I worked to front the spring apparel line. So there was a lot of communication involved there in terms of speaking with suppliers, speaking with the executive board, as well as speaking with the rest of the club in terms of getting opinions. So I have provided a lot of evidence that I have been a very active communicator between both the entire club itself and within the executive board. Second, moving on to solidifying virtual platforms. This past year, us as a club, we've operated in a fully virtual manner, utilizing to the fullest capacity of Google Slides, Forms, One is Good events, Trellos, and even Election Runner for things such as freshman rep elections, presidential elections, as well as general elections. And so through all this experience with all these virtual software, all these platforms, I began to develop a strong sense of fluency in terms of communicating information through these platforms, as well as making sure that the individuals behind those communications are actively understanding what is going on in terms of those usages. And so I would 100% be applying my fluency for a second term if I am elected by the public, and I look forward to doing so. And my third thing is that I would like to develop strong academic resources for SASE members. For those of you who know me, I'm extremely extreme on myself in terms of being involved in academics, being caught up on my work, and being understanding of my lectures and content. And so in my free time, I've been able to develop a backwork system as well as coordinate small little study jams between individuals. And I just hope to bring this to a wider and stronger fruition in the future. And even if I am not elected to this position, I look forward to coaching and helping out the candidate that is able to run this position for the next term. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Eric. Chris, let's bring back the slideshow and present our next candidate, Tobey Tan. Tobey, you have 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, wait, actually,
Tonight.
yeah, it's video first.
Yeah, I could go through the always video afterwards.
Yeah, sure. Then.
Yeah, I'll take like a minute.
Okay,
to
no problem.
speak, and then I could ask you to play it.
Okay, then Chris, unshare, please. All right, Tobey, you have the floor.
Yeah, so hello everyone, I'm Tobey, my first year majoring in ITWS, which is Information Technology and Web Science. You've probably seen me in many places in person or online, such as the Facebook Messenger chat, the SASE Rensselaer Discord, or the GBMs like we just had previously, or some of the SASE events as well. And so before watching the video, I had 3 points. Well, first was consistent and orderly, second was reliable communication at a moment's notice, and third being professional and close relationships among equal. So when you're watching this video, I want you to think of those 3 qualities of myself and what you expect from me as a secretary. And yeah, whoever's hosting, you can play the video. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well tonight. Introducing myself is always a wonderful time for me because I get to say that I go by many names, which is no exaggeration. To formally introduce myself though, my name is Tobey Tan, and you're watching me tonight as I am running to be the next secretary for SASE Rensselaer. Some things about me: I'm a rising second year, majoring in Information Technology and Web Science, currently enjoying my time in the infamous data structures. During my first year attending RPI, I've been a mentee at SASE who's infinitely grateful to be a part of such a wonderful community. A new environment can always be daunting, but I had fellow freshmen and upperclassmen within SASE that welcomed me and made me feel at home. Along with being a mentee, I joined the events committee this semester, in which I was able to experience the process behind the activities that SASE is a part of, whether it be the preparations beforehand or the initial brainstorming of an event. My background and past experiences may be a lot different than the candidates in this forum. As an individual that has played soccer for the last 13 years of my life, I feel it's necessary that I talk a little about it and how the sport has indirectly prepared me for a role in the SASE e-board. Now stick with me for a bit as I explain how soccer has brought me to where I am now. There are 3 main positions, excluding the goalkeeper: the offense, the midfield, and the defense. The offense consists of the most prominent and usually most talented players. They are in the spotlight and are expected to win games for their team by scoring goals. The midfielders are typically the hardest workers on the field and also determine the success of a match. And finally, the defense. This is the position in which I associate with the most. Defenders in any sport are given less credit than the other members in the team, but these people also provide the foundation and clean up for any mistakes that the teammates make. They're required to be the most organized, and without their presence and communication in this position, the team will ultimately fall apart. Regardless if it is soccer or not, the qualities of a defender accurately reflect the person I am within a group. Someone who can provide support to others, and someone who can organize and communicate to those individuals from the periphery. In a team setting in which we're all striving for the same goal, I'm capable of being a good speaker and listener at events and meetings. My role as a soccer team captain during high school has presented me with all sorts of challenges and people that I had to manage. And I'm confident I can take those past experiences and apply them as a secretary. My responsibilities for this position will not be foreign to the work I have done before. Even now, I'm writing daily journal logs of my time on campus. Recording meetings of board meetings and updating and managing lists pertaining to such members are tasks that I am capable of. Along with the expected tasks as a secretary, I would like to focus on the freshman population within SASE. While acclimating the next freshman representatives to their position, as secretary, I would also want to encourage involvement from the other first years, who may be hesitant or unsure about their commitment to the chapter. As a current first year, I believe it would benefit the organization with as many active freshmen as possible attending and partaking in social, professional, and service events. Member retention is essential for any organization, and the freshmen will inevitably take on the responsibilities of the older classes. Given my activeness within the community, I could directly speak to the future SASE underclassmen and support them during their initial transition into the organization. Many of us understand the importance of communication within a group and how it can prevent most problems down the road. As someone who is dedicated to the community and very frequent on the SASE Rensselaer Discord, I can serve as a reliable source of information for anyone in the event of confusion at any time. I wholeheartedly believe that I would be able to have a positive and influential impact on the organization as a secretary and e-board member. So to wrap up, thank you everyone for listening, and I can't wait to meet everyone face to face. While attending the rest of this forum, remember to vote for me, Tobey Tan, as your next secretary.
All right, thank you to Tobey for those beautiful words. Chris, do we have any more other candidates?
No, those are
All
the
right,
three
cool.
running for secretary.
Let's start questioning.
All right. So we'll go in the order by which we introduce the candidates first. So, starting with Eli, the question for you candidates are, what steps are you planning on taking to ensure streamlined communication between different executive board members?
All right. Well, as someone who's not currently part of the executive board, I can't necessarily guarantee that I know exactly how the inner workings of like who's okay with who and how. But I think one of the most important things that involve communication with any team whatsoever is ensuring that there is a good level of trust and open communication within the team. The guarantee that there's not going to be any sort of judgment if, for example, someone falls behind on something. This is not to say that SASE doesn't accomplish this now, but I just believe that this is something that we could especially focus on as a group that is so focused on like professional communication and such as SASE. And so I would like to build strong interpersonal relationships with each member of the e-board in order to make sure that they trust me and they feel that we are openly capable to communicate to each other like our needs and our expectations instead of feeling like we have to hide behind the, well, I have to do this job, so therefore I'm just going to say that I'm done with this.
All right, next would be Eric. Would you
Hello.
like to repeat the question?
Sure. Go ahead. Repeat the question.
All right. What steps are you planning on taking to ensure streamlined communication between different executive board members?
Okay. So as you may have known, every single week, eBoard has their eBoard meetings where everyone sits down and speaks about what they've done in the past week. Now, one of the biggest things as a secretary that I've been trying to keep up in the past year is being the most active speaker at these events, being able to understand that, one, that I am able to understand what everyone else is understanding, as well as what I'm understanding myself. So being able to get a glimpse of that and be able to comprehend the whole network of team activities, team structure, that is the first setup in terms of strong team communication. The second thing that I am working on right now is maintaining a more active presence within social media as well as within Discord. Wait, Discord is social media. But being able to combine these two ideas, understanding the team dynamic as well as the team structure and understanding the team itself, putting those two together would be my strongest suit for tackling the problem of intra-team communication of the board. Thank you.
Finally, we have Toby. Toby, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, you can go ahead. You can repeat
All
the
right.
question.
What steps are you planning on taking to ensure streamlined communication between different executive board members?
So beyond the weekly Sunday e-board meetings, I would be mostly being the middleman for when it be like two other e-board members, three other e-board members, whatever, what have you. And typically I would be wanting to use it through group chats, whether it be from our Discord servers, private group chats or whatnot. And I would be the one mostly to streamline the communication between each other, whether it be however where the relationships between each e-board members, I could be the one acting as the middleman. Yeah.
All right. Now, the next question for this next question, we will be going backwards in order. So Toby will be going to answer this question first. The question is, how do you intend on tackling the issue of an outdated membership list where data is riddled with inaccuracies? For example, graduating year, email, major, minor, etc.
So yeah, a lot of things change. Obviously, we're changing majors or whatnot, we're moving on new experiences. So what I would suggest is either semesterly or yearly. We have at the beginning of the semester have a re-update of our membership info. So whether it be a Google form or whatnot, how often we want to can be up to change, but I would like to have our information re-updated every time. So like the same with how we're registering for the beginning to be a member of SASE, we would also have it for all of our members as well, not just for newcomers.
Next, we have Eric. Eric, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
All right. How do you intend on tackling the issue of an outdated membership list where data is riddled with inaccuracies? For example, graduating year, email, major, minor, etc.
Mm-hmm. So this is actually one of the most largest problems that we have as a secretary. I recognize this, and this is actually one of the problems I'm going to be tackling between now and the end of my term. So for those of you who don't know, anyone who has filled out anything for SASE Rensselaer in terms of a Google form is kept within the SASE membership list. This includes non-members and members as well. Now, not diving into the logistics of this to spare you the technicalities, what I'm planning on doing is working with Kevin and Nathan, who have extensive knowledge of providing streamlined bridge between a private membership list with personal information, major stuff like that, and being able to bridge that with some sort of a Google form or perhaps even a modified semi-private Excel sheet where individuals themselves can go into their own lines and change their own information. Now, as this is still in the works themselves, I have not worked out the absolute technicalities of tackling this particular problem. However, it is in the works as of this moment. Thank you.
Finally, Eli, would you like me to repeat the question?
Oh, I'm all right, thank you. All right. So my main goal with the figuring out of inaccurate information would be particularly at the beginning of each semester, going through the email list and then sending out like a, hey, if you're getting this email, please reply type thing, such to make sure that everyone actually is actively receiving communications. Obviously, this would also do help with figuring out which members are active and which members are inactive, i.e. those who actually read our emails or those who just send them to like the trash box or something like that. And thus, from there, we can try to weed out which members we might be able to target with other activities and such, and what types of members we believe are going to be the most beneficial to help, not necessarily nurture only these members, but which people are going to actively reach out and take hold of the opportunities that we present them.
What are your time commitments for next year, and how do you balance between schoolwork and club work?
So my time commitment next semester will be relatively similar to the one I have this semester. As a mechanical engineer, I'm taking a good amount of my technical electives as well as my lab classes, for example, TF Lab, CSL, mechatronics, classes like that. And although I am taking a rather large amount of classes and credits per semester, I've been very well versed in practicing handling the work distribution. As I've been on eBoard for the past 2 years, I've been able to manage a very strong and very orderly balance between scheduling work that I have to do for SACE and scheduling work that I have to do for academics. Of course, as per all eBoard positions, academics come first. However, I've also been able to find a very, very fluid and synchronous balance between my SACE work. As you guys know, I host the GVMs weekly, as well as I post regular announcements for lots of events. And so clearly I've demonstrated that I'm able to handle such a workload if I am to be elected again for the next term. Thank you.
All right, next I guess can be Eli. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm all right. Also, just completely unrelated, thank you to Amber for contributing dog. We much appreciate. All right, so moving on to the question, how am I going to balance between school and time commitments and such like that? I am a business major, which is obviously less technical, like less with the technical classes than like the engineering majors have to do. But on top of that, some of my classwork is still decently intense, but I've had my schedule peer reviewed by several upperclassmen who were in my field just to make sure that none of my particular semesters are going to be too overly demanding in comparison to each other. I am a part of a couple of other clubs, including a cappella and student council, but given the time commitments with those in comparison to what I know the time commitments are for SASE, there shouldn't be much conflict between those.
And finally, Toby, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. I'm okay. So I would say with the current load, the current workload from this semester with data structures, of course, it's time consuming to say the least, data structures, and I believe it would be around the same type of effort and workload and time I'll be taking in the coming year. And so with how I can manage data structures and my other classes, I'm still left with several days still with enough free time. So balancing out my secretary responsibilities with my current workload coming into the next year as well will be not much of an issue for me.
All right. Thank you to our secretary candidates for answering those questions. You all did lovely. So let's move right on to treasurer. So a little bit about the treasurer position, just as we've done with the past. They mostly track, as everybody knows, the money and the logistics behind transferring money or reimbursements. So this year, Vin did a lot of our logistics in terms of tracking our finance reports and making sure that we weren't spending too much money. And ultimately, usually before COVID at least, the treasurer is also responsible for finding ways to generate revenue for us so we can provide our members with more opportunities, whether this is through fundraising or through some sort of apparel sale of some sort. The treasurer is responsible for the money part of things. So let's bring out our candidates, our first candidate at least. Venkat. Venkat, you have 5 minutes. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Hi, everyone. My name is Venkat Cherukupalli, and I'm a current freshman aero and mechanical engineer here at RPI. Just a little bit about me. I'm from Hyderabad, India, and what I'm wearing right now is actually a traditional Indian outfit called a kurta that's worn to a lot of functions and events. I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my culture after SACE RPI culture has given me so much over this past year. It's really been a great experience. Coming out of high school, I was really kind of lost. I didn't know where to go, and I found a home here, and I'm very proud of it. In RPI itself, in SACE itself, I joined about end of July 2020, and I was honored with the ability to be one of the freshman representatives for this year. I've learned a lot about organizational, technical, and leadership skills that I've been able to employ to help out with the other e-board activities and even work alongside Vin, the current treasurer, to help with finance reports, planning for NERC, which is the regional starting tomorrow, and then also working on spring reception planning. So as for my other qualifications, in high school, I was a team captain for my high school robotics team, which is about 120 members. In that, I helped lead the robot design. I helped lead awards presentation, and I wrote the business plan my senior year, which actually helped us win one of the awards that we presented before COVID hit. Along with that, we had a lot of organizational back-end work. For example, sprint planning, a Gantt chart, and a lot of skills that would help me currently plan out my everyday life as a student, and would also help me as treasurer to plan out activities and also make sure that finance reports and everything gets done on time. Other than that, I was also the drum major for my marching band, which is essentially the conductor. And there was another big organizational task because you have to take all these groups of students and you have to make sure they can all play and march to the music, which sounds easy, but you'd be surprised how freshmen really don't want to cooperate. Well, high school freshmen, let alone college freshmen, don't want to cooperate with you. So just to put it out there, I am running for treasurer. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to actually present and kind of talk about it. But so my platform for treasurer is essentially, I want to work with what Vin has given us because he has an amazing system of doing things right now, and I want to kind of take it to the next level. So I have 3 main points: security, opportunity, and legacy. Security in the sense that we want to make sure we have the proper steps in place right now to give ourselves a buffer and also give future e-board members and SACE members a buffer as well. So I don't know if you've heard of the 50-30-20 method, which essentially means you put aside 50% for necessities, 30% for anything you want to spend of your money, and then 20% for emergency funds so that you don't ever run out of money. So I know we do have different funds right now, such as the agency fund, gift fund, and cash fund. But by creating documentation and actually organizing how we want this money to be spent, it allows us to look at our past spending and kind of break it down to see, hey, where exactly we want to allocate this money. This is extremely important because in the case of any unforeseen events happening, it gives us a good idea of, hey, we can take money from here, or hey, we have money allotted for emergency situations like this. Along with that, it gives a lot of opportunities, which is my second point, to kind of spend money for new events. I'm sure after COVID, all of us are tired of these online events, kind of just sitting in front of a computer and looking at a camera for like 3-4 hours at a time. Trust me, if I could, I would just pop into Kevin's house right now and give him a head pat or something, but I really can't do that. So the alternative to that is looking past COVID and kind of seeing what do we want to do in the future. And that means communicating with all of eBoard along with the members to understand what the different events we want to see are and budgeting for that ahead of time so it can give you the proper experience. This would be working alongside events director along with the rest of the eBoard to make sure that everything goes smoothly and that we see a future that's filled with fun, professional, social, and a diverse array of events that we can have. It also includes a fundraising and looking for new opportunities for income for us. As for fundraising, kind of piggybacking off of Vin's plans, which are to do a lot of food fundraising. For example, similar to how Michelle did her mochi fundraiser, something like that. But kind of piloting it with SASE cooks in the commons, and from there looking at what as a club, what can we make, what can we sell, and using that. Along with that, looking at the new sponsorship package, taking that to the next level and incorporating and working with the external relations manager to kind of form new connections with companies and gain sponsors that way. And finally, legacy. So this is a very broad term, but I believe that it means to set a precedent through actions and not words. So we want to make sure actions are put out there so that people can be inspired to take the next step. And so I want to be the treasurer to do that. I want to give the platform for the rest of eBoard and for all of the members of SASE to have a great time and show the future of SASE, what exactly we can do. So just to close off, thank you guys so much, and please vote me to be your treasurer because I'm going to put my 110% towards everything.
Great timing. Hit the 0-second mark right when he ended. All right. Next person is Eli. Eli, hop back up onto the stage and give us your best 5-minute speech for treasurer.
All right. Well, as I mentioned for my secretary speech, I am a business major, and as stereotypical as it might sound as a business management major, it is inevitable that I have an interest in money. Again, it's kind of stupid sounding, but it's true nonetheless. On an interpersonal level, I have a heavy interest and experience both managing money, personal finance, and budgeting in general. Skill-wise, I often work with Excel and its counterpart Google Sheets, which is one of the most common budget and financial tracking programs. I'll be using these skills in earnest in order to bolster SASE's financial position. And though I may not have specific designated club experience in the past of specifically being a treasurer, I have worked with my school orchestra in order to do long-term trips, such as the trip that my school orchestra took my junior year to Boston. We had to arrange lodgings, itineraries, that kind of thing, in which we actually had to manage several hundred students across the several different orchestra programs that we had in the school and make sure that we balanced the budget. Basically, the end goal of this is if I am doing my job well, you will never know that I was here to do my job. In the meantime, I am enthusiastic and excited to learn and to do my best, not just for the club as a whole, but for all of you as an individual as well.
All right. Kevin, you have some few words?
Yeah, are those the only 2 candidates? Just making sure. Okay, cool.
So, following along the order that we chose to introduce our candidates, starting with Venkat, your first question is, what is your experience in regards to finance management and writing proposals requesting funding?
So in terms of finance management itself, as I said before, in my high school robotics team, I helped write the business plan my junior year, and senior year I wrote it all myself. So I have a lot of history working with SWOT analysis and different aspects of finance management like that. And along with that, in SASE, I was honored with the opportunity to work alongside Vin in the finance committee to help write the finance reports for the end of first semester and along with February itself. So through that, I kind of learned how to do the budget breakdown and to put each transaction that we've done. And along with that, looking at the semester or year or even past 2 years as a whole to see the trends in our spending and how we've gotten from point A to point B, with point B being now. For writing proposals, requesting funding, I'm looking at two ways. One is to writing proposals to actually for sponsors, so as a kind of a sponsorship package thing, but then also writing proposals for, I guess, any spending of money as well. As for spending money, I've written PO forms in my high school for my robotics team, which are called product order forms. And so through that, I got a lot of experience in how to actually fully detail what money we're spending and how it's going to be spent. And for getting sponsors, I actually got in touch with a lot of our high school sponsors. We had a lot of sponsors on our team, like Google, Google, Department of Defense, and other big companies that we had to get in contact with often to communicate with them. And so through that, I learned how to have a good diction, a good etiquette when I'm talking with them, and also how to kind of formally and respectfully request what we need.
Eli, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm all right, thank you, though. All right, so in regards to experience with financial management through both high school and now, actually, I am currently taking a financial accounting class that involves things like the income statement, your budget summary, your statement of retained earnings, income flow, etc. And thus, I have a lot of experience, even if it may only be, well, not necessarily practical in terms of like actual budget numbers, but I have lots of theoretical experience in terms of how these different budgets and different financial statements actually weave together in terms to make the overall picture of a, well, in my classes, a company, and in this case, our club. In terms of writing proposals and actually working with money myself, again, with my school orchestra program, we have organized several fundraisers, such as the Gertrude Hawk fundraisers that we do at my school, in which you contact Gertrude Hawk and then you create like a candy bar selling program in which people carry around those, and then you fundraise by selling candy bars to your fellow students. On top of that, we have worked closely with our local Chipotles in order to create opportunities such that if you show up with a flyer at like a designated couple of days or span of time, they will donate certain amounts of money to the program that correspond with your purchase. Obviously, I can't necessarily guarantee that Sodexo will cooperate with us on that front, but I will definitely be doing my best with whatever past experience I have in order to regulate our financial management and create proposals that will work for everybody across the board.
All right. Just a reminder for those in the audience, if you see a question in the Slido that you find interesting and you would like to be asked, make sure that you upvote the questions. So, for the candidates, starting with Eli, your next question is, you will be doing a lot of logistical planning for transportation and lodging on overnight conference trips. How do you make sure nothing goes wrong in these trips?
It's kind of a boring answer, but spreadsheets. There is such thing as too many spreadsheets in regards to these, in that things can get a little bit too chaotic. But when you're talking about sheets within one individual spreadsheet, honestly, I'm part of the fan theory of there is no such thing as too much, as you can also hide old ones, hide ones that you use to make your base calculations, and thus create like an abstract interface in which all you need to do is type in your numbers in the designated fields, and then poof, everything shows up for you. In which case, I have mentioned my past experience working with creating an orchestra trip for several hundred students in my junior year of high school. I would like to take that, and I would also like to apply that experience forward. I wasn't the only one on that team, and I expect that I am probably going to need some help in regards to, like, I won't be able to be a one-man army in terms of what I'm going to be doing for the SACE team as well. But at the end of the day, like, this is all of our club. I just want to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible by logging all of our interactions, logging everything that everybody plans to do in terms of like who's staying where, that type of thing, and ultimately doing my best just to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible, such that, again, no one will know that my job was done because it was done well.
Venkat, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm good, but thank you. So in terms of how I would approach this, honestly, I can't disagree with Eli there. Spreadsheets are your best friend because when you can tabulate everything into a form that makes it easy for you to understand and also the receiving person to understand, which in this case would be first the e-board, that would be a great double checking source for us, but then also the member can understand. So by tabulating everything there, it puts it in a way that's easy to understand and so that it ensures that there's no mistakes. Along with that, there's a lot of cross-checking and checks and balances here. I say that as Eli mentioned, it would not just be an individual, it would be a committee as well. And I believe that's really important because yes, while as a treasurer, I would be heading this, working with people on making sure that I've made no mistakes in my calculations and in how I'm putting the actual information in the spreadsheet where it's presented would be a great way to ensure that there's no mistakes in the long run. Because a simple $2 mistake in the base calculation or a simple 2-minute mistake in the base calculation can compound over multiple items to end up being $200-300 or waste 2-3 hours of our time. So by creating that double checking and honestly sometimes redoing calculations on paper to kind of look at where you're going, it helps save a lot of time and helps save a lot of effort that it takes to correct mistakes in the long run.
Right, and for our final question, how do you plan on effectively communicating? Wait, sorry about that. How do you plan on effectively communicate club budget to e-board so that everyone is always on the same page on SASE's spending power and limitations? Venkat, you can start.
First things first is transparency. For example, currently we're working on the merchandise thing with for a freshman representative, and we're trying to be as transparent as possible about how much it's costing and everything. And I believe it's very important to actually understand where the club currently stands in terms of financials. So on top of that, presenting the data in a way that's easy to understand, like I mentioned before, is the second biggest thing. Well, honestly, it might be the primary biggest thing because if you're not able to understand the data, there's no way that the information will be important for the people receiving. So for example, with the current financial spreadsheets, we have a great visual aid in terms of graphs that assist the treasurer in explaining how the money was being spent, what the effects of this year's spending and income were compared to last year, and along with that, kind of what the trend is going into the future. I believe it's very important because when the data is tabulated like that, it allows you to kind of look at a broader perspective than just this month or these few transactions, and gives you a better view on, hey, here's how we're spending money over the course of 6 months, or here's how it is compared to last year, which is a really great point that Dinh has had us do when writing the finance reports that I think brings a lot to the table. If you're not able to compare yourself to where you were a year or 2 years ago, you're never going to see any growth and you're never going to find any place where you can still grow more.
Right. Eli, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm all right, but thank you yet again. All right, so I also agree with Venkat that transparency is something that's incredibly important, but at the same time, I also have to say that there must be a level of abstraction such that it is a clean interface that everybody can understand and easily communicate with. Partially with that also involves having open communication between different sections of the e-board in order to make sure that not everyone is dipping into the same part of the budget looking for different things. Because if that happens, then we're going to have a little bit of a monetary disaster on our hands. But in order to make sure that everything is both transparent yet legible at the same time, I do believe in creating like a clean dashboard or such in Excel, such that you can log transactions, you can log specific activities, but not have to worry about managing all the possibly complex, possibly less complex, like formulas and such that are behind it in order to make sure that everything matches up with all of our past data and in order to compare between one year versus the next.
And that concludes our treasurer candidates. Thank you all, thank you both for answering the questions and introducing yourself. So next, events director. So let's talk a little bit about what the ED does. So the events director, as the name implies, is usually the director of events, and the organizer, the person who prepares it, the person who brainstorms the idea, they're the one in charge of it, and so they also happen to be the one that executes it for both social and professional events. And so they also deal with collaborating with other SASE chapters or other RPI clubs and also in charge of updating our expansive events master list. And as usual, working with PR to advertise and PHOTO-CINEMA to come up with some nice ads. So let's bring out our candidates, starting with the first one. Emily. Emily, you have 5 minutes on the clock. Go for
Hi,
it.
everyone. All right. My name is Emily Ngo, and I'm running to be your events director for the 2021 to 2022 school year. Throughout my time here at SASE, I've been able to meet some brilliant people, enjoy some fun activity nights, and get professional support. I can only hope to give back as much as I can to this organization. So let me just outline my platform, the 3 E's. 1, execute more cultural and service events. 2, engage the freshies. And 3, establish drop-in tutoring. But before I can delve deeper into my platform, let me introduce myself. I'm your freshman representative for this year, and as of recently, I've been working on getting merchandise out for SASE with my partner, Venkat. During high school, a multitude of events and projects: the school blood drive, diversity fair, field trips to food share, and small-scale service projects. My senior year, I was elected as the president of the National Honor Society, the president of the service club, and at the time I had been leading Envirothon workshops as team captain. If I'm elected as events director, I apologize, is there some sort of network issue?
No, you're good. We can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay. If I'm elected as events director, I will work closely with my committee to bring more events to SASE. And all right, back to my platform. My first plan: 1, execute more culture and community service events. The 3 pillars of SASE are professionalism, culture, and service. As of now, the majority of our events have been professional. However, I strive to strike a balance between all 3 pillars. For cultural events, I would like to host a mini diversity fair, which of course includes food, and show screenings of all types of Asian films. For service, assuming that school will be in person, there are so many opportunities, such as making small crafts or even helping. So my second goal is to engage the underclassmen with SASE. As freshmen will provide the bulk of the SASE population in the upcoming years, this summer is a prime time to reach out and engage underclassmen with our organization. I would also like to work with the mentor family co-heads to host events to test compatibility between mentor and mentee, and to provide freshmen with a more routine involvement in SASE overall. So this would happen mainly over the summer. And my plan of action is to establish a drop-in study sessions for students in need. Our organization is composed of so many bright scientists and engineers, so why not make use of it? Our members have taken difficult courses such as IEA, data structures, and cell biology. SASE can offer direct communication between people who can offer help and people who need help. So if I'm elected as events director, I'd like to see my 3 goals happening. And with that, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Feel free to ask any questions during the forum tonight. Please ask them. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Emily. So our next candidate is Amber. Amber, you have 5 minutes. Go for it.
Okay. Hello, my name is Amber Kesapradist. I am currently a senior, dual majoring in Design, Innovation, and Society, and in Mechanical Engineering. I am the vice chair of the MainSec, which is the main department's Student Advisory Council. Some experience that I've had in events, directing events, is the elevator pitch competition that we held every year for the MainSec, which allows students in the main department to come by and give a 60 to 90-second elevator pitch to a group of professionals, and to show that they can explain their ideas and themselves to professionals. For the events director, I want to increase the ads and work with the cinematic person in charge on events, and I want to make ads more accessible, so that people will be able to see them everywhere on campus and even online.
All right. So, following the tradition that we've had so far, starting with Emily, the first question for you candidates today is, where do you believe the major causes for low attendance, participation, and interest are rooted? Please describe your process to tackle these issues.
So personally, I just think that everyone's kind of caught up in doing their own thing. If you're in a centralized location, such as, being here on campus, you're more likely to be doing RPI things. However, when you're at home, you're spending time with your family, you're out with your friends at home, you're kind of distracted by so many other things. And I feel like that's kind of what happened this year regarding low attendance for certain events. But I feel like if we were on campus, we could advertise in person, we could put up these flyers and everyone would see them. We could spread the word via mouth, and I think everyone would hear it. So personally, I think that those are ways that we can increase attendance for next year. So I was looking at the question. Yeah, but I just believe that everyone, like, when everyone is spread out in a separate location, it's hard to centralize communication.
Right. Amber, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, can you repeat it?
All right. Where do you believe the major causes for low attendance, participation, and interest are rooted? Please describe your process to tackle these issues.
Okay. I think one of the main causes for low attendance is the amount of ads that are put out. Sometimes people don't have enough reminders. If we only have a weekly email about these certain events or very short notification on the Discord, I think we should have more. And in terms of going back in person, I want to see flyers out that that look different. I want to have these flyers show different events from the past and show that we can have a better future and more fun in these events.
All right. So for this next question, what is your strategy for tackling lack of creativity and reigning in over creativity in events? Please describe your process, starting with Amber.
So I think that over creativity is not much of a problem. I think that this encourages people. Oh, where did the question go?
It should be still there. I just removed the previous question.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Um, uh, Over creativity really engages the people in SASE. Um, I think the lack of creativity in events means that we should work on it. And by working on this, I think we should engage people to come up with ideas for the events and not just the e-boards. I want to talk to people that are really into their studies, but also want to have fun.
All right. Emily, would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure, that would be great.
All right. What is your strategy for tackling lack of creativity and reigning in over creativity in events? Please describe your process.
Well, I mean, in working with the committee, I feel like what's great is that you have so many people that you can talk to about all of your ideas. And so having brainstorming sessions, maybe monthly, to tackle like, hey, like there's a holiday coming up, like should we try to plan out something creative regarding that? Or hey, there's like exams coming up. How about we try to schedule something around that so we can, work this better into our schedules. Um, I would definitely try to look at people's schedules and try to figure out like creative events that would be good for the time, like that fits the time frame. Like for example, I know exam week just happened. I would probably have something to kind of like relieve stress for all of that. But I think my strategy is really just sitting down, brainstorming, and then like looking over like what's relevant. What do we need to do right now that would best fit our population?
All right. So for the final question, what is your creative vision for the chapter's online presence? What are the specific characteristics that would be set for our that would set our chapter apart? Starting with Emily.
So personally, okay, hang on 1 second. Well, I think that one thing that Chris continued to bring up was that our Discord channel is pretty extensive. We have we have a pretty big presence, honestly. And I think that by working and collaborating with other neighboring schools and being able to do that, being able to maybe even create a larger Discord presence would really set our chapter apart. I think that being able to be versatile, so like being able to host online events and then being able to host events in person, like being able to do both of that is a really great skill for us to have. As for next year, I haven't thought too much about that. Although I'm sure that there are creative ways that we can become more involved with community service or display cultural events that are very interesting. Like, for example, I was thinking that if we were to host something like a blood drive at our school, that would definitely get our name out, and we would be participating in a very large community service event that is also involved with health, which is really great.
All right. Amber, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, it's okay. As Emily said, our Discord channel, our server is really booming. I really think that we should send it out to all the other, even unprofessional and professional platforms that we have on school, especially the main department, as there's so many engineers there. I also think that we need to revamp. Sorry, my dog's in the room. Um, sorry. Where is
Do you
I?
want to restart, Amber?
Um, no, it's okay.
Okay. You
I'll
have 1
just
minute and 30
continue.
seconds
Yeah, you can
remaining.
see the dog later. I think we need to revamp the website that we have. I am currently working on a website for my co-op, and I think that we should make things more, we should cater towards things that can be put onto a website. So linking our website through the SASE events or um, through other websites that we have. Sorry, other Discord platforms.
Public relations, a little bit about the PR position. So, as the name suggests, it's mainly with dealing on how the public perceives us, say Rensselaer, as a group, whether it's on Discord, on Instagram, or Facebook. They're usually the ones that deal with the advertising efforts and making posts, releasing announcements about events when they are, and where to access them, etc., as well as maintaining our website and our monthly newsletters. So let's bring out the first candidate. John Chen. John Chen, are you there?
I am here. Hello, Kevin. Thank you for introducing me.
Yep. You have 5 minutes to introduce yourself, so take this time to speak about your campaign and yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is John, as you guys can see. And I'm applying to this public relations board because I've had extensive experience with trying to advertise various events. I think that a very important part of my high school career was actually setting up a youth science enrichment program where me and my friends, thank you for the timer, where me and my friends actually went out and we developed a science curriculum to be taught to elementary school students. And in this process, not only did we go out to the respective elementary schools and ask about what their curriculums were like, but we also coordinated with our library to set up this event. And most importantly, we actually had to advertise this event really strongly. I mean, we were all high schoolers at the time. We didn't really know many students who were in elementary school, but we really tried to use our resources in the best way possible to engage with our audience and to make sure that we had the most people turn out as possible. We started at our science at our local science fair where we set up flyers, advertisements. We tried to recruit through social media, and I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't that terribly successful. For our first actual demonstration, we only had like 2 or 3 kids actually show up. However, we stuck with it. We reached out to more family. We posted more on social media. We ran more flyers with more schools, and we really tried our hardest to increase engagement. And actually, by the end of our semester, we actually got a classroom filled with 30 students. It was a really heartwarming moment to realize that we grew from 2 or 3 kids up to 30, and we could see that these kids were so enthusiastic about the course. I don't know if it was because they actually enjoyed the science. I honestly hope it was. Or just that they heard from friends or they heard from their parents who heard from us that this is a really engaging activity. And I think that through this experience, it's taught me a lot about how to advertise through social media and just trying to make the connections you need to really get your voice out there. And ultimately, that's what I want to do for SACE as well. On the public relations board, if elected, I really wish to use my past learning experiences and transfer them over to this club to increase our visibility on RPI campus. Have you guys seen, actually yesterday, I was walking around campus and I saw a lot of people putting up these Kate posters. Have you guys seen them around? Yeah. So I thought that was a little bit extra. I don't think it was the most efficient use of the poster space. And I was just thinking of different ways that if I were in charge of that campaign, how would I try to maximize the use of our resources to increase visibility? And ultimately, that's what I want to bring over to Six because I understand how awesome a club this is. I've worked with Vin on his team to plan out different events. And I know that this club has a lot of potential, and we've already accomplished that. But I think that more students could benefit by also joining in on it. Yep, that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you for that, John. So now to introduce our second candidate, Dylan Lay. Dylan, you want to take the next 5 minutes to introduce yourself and your campaign, please?
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. Can you guys hear me? Hey guys, I'm Dylan. I'm a freshman CS major. So a little bit about me. I work right now at Poly. There I'm a news editor. I work on the tech team as well, and on the tech team, I focused on working on the website there, and I've helped a lot, helping making backups, helping restore the server, helping with the layout. And it really is just like part of what I've been doing for the last like 2 years. So in high school, I was actually part of 2 different publications. I was the lead web editor for the Mire and the sorry, I'm blanking now. I don't know why I would blank on that. I'll come back to it. But I was the lead web editor for one of my friends' publications, which was about student publication, and all my job there was all about layout. I spent a lot of time working on designing the front page, designing article layouts, designing how text can be read in a nice, pleasant way, working with the authors, trying to get them to get something that's both elegant to read and something that looks nice on the website. Oh, it's the Woodward Post. That's what the name was. There we go. Beyond that, right now, what I'm doing at RPI, I wanted to really focus on more of my skills in computer science and specifically web design. I've been working on my own website, as well as I've been working on the Poly's website, and just this semester, I've been helping with Min on the PR committee to work on the current SASE website. I don't really have a lot of experience in social media. I'll be completely honest with that. But I do think that I could definitely help with it. I've been helping Min with it this semester, and I hope you guys will take a chance on me. Thanks.
All right, thank you guys for introducing yourselves. We will be moving on to the Q&A portion now. So, starting with John, the first question for you guys today is, what is your plan on tackling improper initiative planning and low or lack thereof communication when it comes when a newsletter is to be sent out? Please describe your strategy.
Could you repeat the question real quick? Sorry.
Yeah. What is your plan on tackling improper initiative planning and low or lack thereof communication when a newsletter is to be sent out? Please describe your strategy.
Okay. I think in such a situation, it's really clear to emphasize to everyone on the team that communication is vital, and it is more important that since we're at the head of communication at RPI, at SASE, we really need to connect with our audience and make sure everyone is up to date. So I think the first order of business is to really meet as a team and to discuss why did this happen, and more importantly, what steps we can take to not have this happen again. I think having that transparency and having that discussion is ultimately what's I think the appropriate move would to just tell them, hey, it didn't work out the way that we wanted to, but we are quickly trying to address this issue, and we guarantee you that it won't happen again. And this will be an easy way for us to stay engaged with our audience and to really connect with them and let them know that we're on the same page as them and we're working for them.
Hey, John, so you cut out for a little bit there. Do you mind reiterating just quickly your points?
Okay,
We
yeah,
missed about like a quarter of it.
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was just saying that I think the first step is to meet as a team and to really discuss why did this happen and what steps it can be taken in the future to ensure that this doesn't happen again. As a head of communication for SASE, it's very vital for us to stay on top of everything and to be very transparent with each other and to promote dialogue that's going to ultimately push this club forward. And in terms of engaging our audience, I think that the most appropriate course of action would just be to communicate that, hey, things didn't work as planned, but we're working to ensure that this does not happen again. And I think this is very important to engage our audience because ultimately it shows them that we are also connected to them and we're looking out for their best interest and we are going to serve that function.
Thank you, John. All right, Dylan, do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. What is your plan on tackling improper initiative planning and low or lack thereof communication when a newsletter is to be sent out? Please describe your strategy.
Sure. So in regards to the newsletter that PR sends out every month or so, I think one way to help deal with the lack of communication would definitely be an actual stand-up every week at e-board meetings, talking about what are the plans that PR has, talking about all the things that is going to be on the newsletter, and getting a good relationship with all the other e-board members to understand what's going to be published that month so that we understand as PR what everyone wants to be put out and when that date will be. I think also having a concrete date would help a lot there, probably at the end of the month or the start of a month. And I think that will definitely help there.
Thank you, Dylan. All right, so the next question we have for you guys is, what is your strategy for redesigning the media campaign? Please describe the platforms used, content shared, and involvement of the e-board, starting with Dylan.
Yeah, so this is actually something that I worked on with Min a little bit at the beginning. We were thinking about redesigning the WordPress site that's currently up right now. Personally, I think it's a great website so far, and I think there's a little bit room to improve, but one thing I definitely want to focus on is the physical media and partially the Instagram and Facebook posts. So I think one thing we can really benefit from is postering. I've been at the Poly, and one thing that was been really successful to get members joining was our postering on campus. We've actually had recently in the last meeting about 7 new members show up. It was really fun to see them there, and having those posters up on campus where people see them in like the Union or on the bridge towards the other side of the Union. Where does it go? It goes towards the goes to Sage Dining Hall. That's where it is. Yeah, so on the bridge near Sage Dining Hall, there's a great area for all these posters and getting the visibility just there so people can get links to Discord, get links to our webpage, get links to our email list. Those are the things that we need to do. We just show them anything about our club, because if they get those tiny bits of information, then they'll be able to eventually come in, meet with us, talk with us.
All right. John, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I can take it.
All right.
That said, it's very important for us to really maintain the SASE website. I think that really focusing on the user interface is ultimately what's going to attract people to the website and keep them there. But aside from the website, I think that it's also important for us to expand into other forms and to really find what other forms of media really draw and garner attention, whether that be Snapchat, whether that be Instagram, Discord, or just physically putting on posters and such. I think more importantly, as COVID restrictions ease, hopefully, that maybe we can actually have some physical interaction with other people outside the club to improve our visibility. I'm a big proponent that physically engaging with other people and communicating face to face is very important in developing relationships and to really draw people towards your cause. And I'm a big proponent that when things get back to back to normal, that we can really try to engage with the larger RPI community by having these more physical in-person sessions where we can just try maybe like setting up a booth somewhere, maybe outside Commons, just to garner more attention and have a better sense of how we can really engage with our audience and really pull more RPI students into what SASE can offer.
All right, and for the final question for you guys, what is your creative vision for the chapter's online presence? What are the specific characteristics that would set up our that would set our chapter apart from other orgs on campus and beyond? Starting with John.
Could you repeat the second part of the question?
Oh yeah. What are the specific characteristics that would set our chapter apart from other organizations on campus and beyond?
Okay, yeah, back to the whole in-person thing. I think that SACE could certainly benefit from having more in-person events. And I'm not saying like getting very close with other people. I understand that is very difficult this semester, but just maybe having like a larger booth outside Commons or some other highly visited area, and just to really improve our visibility to people on campus. Because ultimately, I think that when people see something in person on campus, that's going to leave a longer impression on them than if it's just something online. That's something that's ultimately outside of our control, and the best way to benefit from it.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay, John, we lost you at cut off at the benefit of something. You're muted, sir. John, you're muted.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, something about the benefit of continue.
Yeah. For a second there, I just saw everyone's screen go blank and I was just freaking out, like, what's going on? I'm a little confused right now. But yeah, I was just saying that ultimately it's going to work in our favor if we have more in-person promotional events for SACE. Because I think that with everything moving online, it's really hard to differentiate between different forms of media that you consume online. And as a result, it's even more important that we have these kind of in-person promotional events that can really engage students and pull them into SACE.
All right, Dylan, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
All right. What is your creative vision for a chapter's online presence? What are the specific characteristics that would set our chapter apart from other organizations on campus and beyond?
So one of the things that I think would really give our chapter a nice online presence would be maybe something like a blog post, something along with to go with the newsletter to give more character to people that says. We can work more closely as PR. We can work more closely with events director and PHOTO-CINEMA to get nice photos of our members in our events, and working with events directors to focus on the in-person events, as John was talking about. I really am a proponent as well as for the in-person events. Even though I'm not on campus on this semester, I think they'll be great for getting our group out there, getting more people involved in our group as well. As for specific characteristics that would set us apart, I do think that having more interaction with the public through possibly more videos as we've done before. So we had the Safe Things, which I thought was a fun event. I know I didn't wasn't part of it. I'm sorry, Chris, but I think more events like those where we get more fun events where SACE members are participating, we're showing off our personalities, and we're talking to people out there. The important part is that we want to get more communication with people outside of the group and make it seem like we are the group they want to be part of on campus.
Okay, beautiful answers from both of you. Thank you to our candidates for this round. Let's move now right into external relations. So as usual, let's talk a little bit about what the ER does, the ER director. So usually they talk with companies and groups externally of RPI. And so a lot of the, Lockheed events or Boeing events, whatever company you can think of, our ER person has usually been the one responsible for getting them to, show up on campus or on WebEx this semester or last semester even, and also reaching out to certain organizations either near us or online to do some community service. And so let's bring out our candidates for external relations. So John, Chen, come back up on the stage and take the next 5 minutes to talk about your ER campaign.
All right. I don't know if everyone saw what was on the screen, but I really want to start from the bottom and work my way to the top. So the reason why I applied to this external relations board was mainly because I saw that there's a lot of outreach to various companies, and this is actually something I have a lot of experience with. When I was actually in middle school, my friend actually ran a charity event, and one year he asked me, "Hey John, I normally try like cold approaching companies and asking for their support. Do you want to come along with me?" And me being the 7th grader I was like, you know what? I don't have a better use of time, so awesome, let's go ahead. And it was a really eye-opening experience. We went around pretty much soliciting companies and knocking on their doors asking, "Hey, we run this charity and we were wondering if you would like to sponsor us." And through that experience, I've gained a lot of insight on how to cold call. Pretty much, it was pretty much cold calling, but in person, and how to really sell yourself and how to really engage and connect with whatever company that you're really focusing on. One of the lessons I've learned from that was, I think we were at a Gateway Kia. I think we went up to a car dealership, a Gateway Kia, and we were trying to solicit their contributions to my friend's charity. And my friend kept repeating, "Oh, this Kia, Kia, Kia." And after a while, we realized that the manager wasn't really happy with us. And this was because they try to sell their brand as a gateway Kia. So it's very important that when you're going to these kinds of companies, you're really presenting yourself to them in a way that fits their ideal view. You are really trying to make them feel comfortable and respecting them. And these are certainly skills that I carried on later throughout high school. I think one of the defining points of my high school career was setting up a science speaker series through my local library. And my vision for this was I was going to invite some professors from colleges near me to come present about their jobs. I didn't really have any connections to college faculty, but I just thought about my experience with my friend in 7th grade, and I got the idea, why don't I just start emailing some people and seeing where that took me. So I ended up emailing a science librarian at Princeton, and surprisingly, she responded. She actually got back to me, and we had this whole discourse about what a science speaker series would look like and how Princeton faculty could really interact and come and present about their jobs. So after about a month of talking over email, she actually invited me out to campus. And when I was there, she was showing me around the different departments, and she was showing me the different faculty. And with each faculty member, each professor I saw, I really had to sell myself all over again. And after a while, she had to leave. She was in a meeting. So I was just there soliciting random professors at Princeton for pretty much how they could help me. And through this experience, I've really gotten very comfortable with just going up to random people, organizations, companies, and just asking them, "Hey, how can we set up some sort of relationship where both of us can benefit, where you can increase your visibility, and on our end, we can get something out in exchange." And that's ultimately what I want to bring to SASE. Finally, I was also the head of investor relations for RPI's Student Managed Investment Fund, the James Fund, this last semester, and I kind of just served as a liaison between the student investors and the professors that actually owned the fund. And through this experience, I've also just gotten a better sense of I've gotten a better handle of social skills and interpersonal skills in dealing with people, and I think this combined with everything would really allow me to help SASE setting up events and reaching out to companies as the head of external relations.
That's great. All right. So let's present our second candidate, Alexander Liu.
Yes, hello?
Yep, loud and clear. Can hear you
All
well.
right, cool. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm a freshman studying computer science and math, and I'm running for the external relations director position. My experience with external relations really stems from my robotics club in high school. I was safety captain, which really helped me learn how to work with the team as well as be more of a leader because I had to direct people on how to be safe. But what really made an impact with external relations was my impact with the public outreach team for robotics. I had to help gather sponsors to fund our annual invitational each year for robotics. I remember staying up one night, having to eat dinner late because I was driving around asking a whole bunch of small brand name companies, asking whether they would sponsor us or not. It was actually really stressful, kind of, but it ended up being pretty good. And I also participated in many community service events. For example, me and my team helped collect trunkfuls of food for Thanksgiving each year to give to those less fortunate. We also worked with Bedtime Math to create a math program for nearby elementary schools to give younger children more chance to show off their skills and also publicize the robotics club. I'm also part of the external relations team here on SASE, along with Spencer, Brian, and Arya. I learned a lot of the inner workings of external relations within SASE, and one big part of that was learning how to write emails. I learned how to write sponsor emails, follow-up emails, outreach emails to a whole bunch of different companies. And this really taught me about how to effectively communicate with all of these different companies in a way that makes it seem like we're giving them a whole bunch of benefit, which would definitely entice them to want to have an event with us more. I also attended an online meeting along with Ari and Spencer to see the difference between face-to-face conversation compared to a longer online email discussion. And so I have a lot of experience talking to companies and such like that. Given this position, I would love to keep contact with all the companies that we're already in contact with and contact even more companies by attending more company events held by RPI or even out of RPI. I can contact the host of the event after the event, face-to-face or over email, to ask whether they would like to host an event with us. I've attended a Facebook event and I emailed the Facebook host afterwards and they said they would love to work with us sometime. So I plan to keep in contact with them to make sure we can work on an event with them. I also want to focus on the younger generations of SASE that would be coming into the External Relations Committee. By creating stuff like communication templates and email templates, I think it might be really effective to give a younger generation an earlier and more direct experience to writing emails. So instead of having someone like Spencer write the whole email while explaining everything that he's doing to someone like me or Brian, I think it could be really good if we recorded that and used that for later purpose, or if we, wrote an actual template so that younger generations can be able to write their own emails earlier on. I know the first email I actually wrote to Nielsen really solidified my understanding of communicating with companies, and I want to give that chance to younger generations as well. And I hope that whenever all of this COVID stuff is done, we can continue whatever community service events we were doing before, so I can adapt to that as well. Thank you.
Thank you too for introducing yourselves and talking about yourselves. At the moment, we're going to give a few seconds for the audience to upvote and add their own questions to the Slido for Q&A. So, the first question we have for you two today is, how do you plan on attracting companies to the spring reception? If you do not know what the spring reception is, I can give a TLDR version. Starting with John.
Alrighty. So I've actually worked with Vin on his team as for just setting up some details for the spring reception. So I feel more comfortable talking about this topic. In terms of how I plan on attracting companies to the spring reception, I think that's first off, it's very important for us to make use of our existing relations. Looking at companies that we've talked to before, I know that we have some connection with GE, Boeing, and Lockheed, and it's important to really expand on these relationships and really to see, really try to push what we can do for them in exchange for how they can help us as well. In terms of attracting new companies, I think that beyond just like cold calling or cold emailing, both of which that I'm rather experienced with and pretty comfortable doing, I think that it'd be really efficient if we can meet them through related events, whether hosted by SASE or not. I in an ideal world when these COVID restrictions ease, I think that'd be very efficient for us if we could have one or two representatives of SASE meet up with a representative of a company and to really just talk it out and see what we can do for each other and reflect each other in the best light possible.
All right. Alexander, would you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please. And also explain a little bit if possible.
Right, okay. So, how do you actually I'm gonna explain spring reception first. So spring reception last year was a plan to have multiple companies show up in kind of like a pseudo career fair here at RPI, right? We would be hosting it as SACE. And the main objective, the main goal would be that SACE would be not only expanding themselves, but also showing that we are, well, a relatively big organization and that we can offer the most to our members and show the companies that everyone at SACE has potential. So the main job of the external relations for this would be to, of course, reach out to the companies and making sure that they attend, come over to look for employees. So the question is, how do you plan on attracting companies to the spring reception?
Well, sending out emails for one. I think making them aware of what the spring reception is in the first place would be something extremely important. I also think that we can attract a lot of our sponsors and a lot of companies that we work with already, especially given the responses that we've had with those companies and the events we've had. I think if we can lure them per se into joining the spring reception, it could be a great way for them to really get what they want and really get in touch with more students so that they have access to the talent that is on SACE. As for new companies, I think, a lot of the large companies may be less willing to join something like the spring reception held by a club at RPI, but I think it could be a really good way for smaller companies to get their name out. So I would probably focus on contacting those smaller companies and maybe working something out with them so that they would be more willing to join the spring reception and really get a chance to show what their company is about to a lot of the students here at RPI and on SACE.
All right. So the next question we have for you guys is, what is your strategy for gaining more corporate sponsors? What companies are you currently envisioning a dialogue with, and how will you proceed to initiate that dialogue? Starting with Alexander.
I think so. Sponsors are really important. They help fund a lot of the events that we've had. And getting in contact with those companies in the first place is really what starts the foundation and the connection between the company and our club, for our club SACE. So first off, attending those company events, like I said, attending those company events and getting in contact with them so that they are more willing to host an event with us. And once we're able to host an event and once we're able to see how the response went with that event, then we can hopefully ask for a sponsorship and give them our sponsorship package to really give them an idea of what we can supply them. because they're giving us their money, and we want to benefit them as much as possible. Like I said, in order to initiate that dialogue with a whole bunch of companies, I will be attending those events. I will maybe not make, but I would. It would be super helpful if the rest of the external relations committee would also jump on that train with me, so that we could all go to the meetings and we can, all talk with a whole bunch of different companies about stuff that SASE does, so that we can work on an event with them, and then hopefully those connections can build a little more deeper, and then they can turn into sponsors. Like I said, I emailed Facebook, and I mean, I'm envisioning Facebook right now. I know it seems like a little bit of a stretch, but I really will keep in contact with them and and hopefully we can make something of that. Other than that, I mentioned in the last question that contacting smaller companies may be useful. So I think finding out what those small companies are from the regular RPI career fair would be extremely useful, and I'll reach out to them as well.
All right. John, would you like me to, John, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I'm good. I actually disagree with Alex's last point, talking about more so reaching out to smaller companies, because I acknowledge that it's more important for smaller companies to really get their image out. I think that in a time like this, especially with all these COVID restrictions, that we should be turning towards larger companies that probably have more resources at their expense for events like this, especially when it comes to garnering sponsorships. Some companies that I had in mind were more so pharmaceutical, or rather, I think in sectors that I think are going to develop and grow for the next few years, starting with either pharmaceutical or even renewable energy. I was thinking of large companies such as Johnson Johnson, Pfizer. I know that Bristol Myers Squibb actually has a division up here near Troy, and a company like Regeneron. I think that reaching out to these companies would be really important, because these are the companies that are growing right now and will have the capital available to them to invest in an event through SASE that we can probably ask them and garner, like, actually successfully garner sponsorship from these companies. And the way I envision doing this is by really reaching out to them and having that very important dialogue and communication as for what SACE is and what SACE means to the RPI community. I think an easy way of selling it to them is by having more personalized contact and really explaining to them, really driving home the point that SACE is a community of very bright and talented students. And ultimately, that by investing in a community like us, we can provide dividends for them in the years to come, and ultimately also more visibility in terms of higher connections when we are all become future professionals.
All right. So the last question we have for you two is, what is the image you wish to portray of the chapter to current and potential corporate sponsors? How will you achieve this ideal portrayal? Starting with John.
Yeah, going back to my last point, I think the way we want to portray this club is as really a community of bright and motivated and talented students that will ultimately change our world. I know that we found our community here, and by doing so, it will be easier for us to establish a community in our professional careers. And I think it's very important for us to really sell this image of SACE, because not only is this going to bolster confidence within our own club, it's going to make it easier for outside companies to really take an objective look at us and realize that this is a club full of potential, full of people with potential, and they need to tap into this potential, otherwise it would be their loss.
Okay. Alex, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I would describe our chapter as a family of extremely talented Asian kids who are extremely willing to work and who really want to make a change in the world. And there's always a first step to doing that, and that step could always be the company that we're looking at, or that we're looking to make an event with. In order to really achieve this ideal portrayal, I would describe how events with other companies have gone, how many people have contributed to the events, and how much people have really enjoyed it because it helped them with their resume, or it helped them understand the company more. I think the experience from the students within those company events are really important to understanding what we really are as a family and as a club.
Great, thank you both. So that concludes the external relations portion. So let's move on to the mentor program co-directors. So a little bit about what they do. So as one of the co-directors this year and for last year, a lot of what we focus on is linking incoming freshmen that require or even want just mentorship for the sake of making friends or learning how to be a student at RPI, or just even how to be a college kid in general. We are the ones that attempt to make those pairings between upperclassmen and freshmen. And so we host a lot of exclusive events for the mentor program in trying to foster these relationships and allow for them to gain more opportunities. And so let's bring out our first candidate, Timothy Sun. Timothy, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear
Cool.
you. You have 5 minutes. Go for it.
One second. Would you like me to play the video,
right.
or like before you talk, or would you like to speak after the video?
I think you can just play the video first. It's fine.
All right.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim. I'm a freshman majoring in biomedical engineering, and I'm running for Mentor Co-Director. The Mentor program has been great for me. I have learned so much, and I've met so many wonderful people, some of which are my best friends. And I want to be able to give back to that program. So, as Mentor Co-Director, I hope to be able to preserve the good experience and ensure that it lasts for generations to come. I hope to be able to improve upon the longevity of families, and also the general fun that people have with the program as part of my campaign. In terms of qualifications, in the past, I've done programs such as OCAC and Big Hands Holding Little Hands, both programs pertaining to teaching younger generations English and letting them experience the culture. And I believe that the skills I've developed there would help me here. It's things such as communication, creative lesson planning or event planning, as well as being on time and responsible and doing everything I need to do, I believe would be helpful to me as Mentor Co-Director. Additionally, I maintain a good relationship with the current Mentor Co-Head, and I believe that under him I've learned a little bit, and he's talked about some stuff, and I found it all very interesting, and I hope to be able to do stuff with that. I helped plan the Valentine's Day event, and I believe that went pretty well. I learned a lot. They told me about some other stuff, their general responsibilities and whatnot, and I thought that it was great and it fit me. My biggest goal for SASE would probably just improve upon the lasting bonds between the families, so that it isn't just starts in fall, ends in spring, and then that's it. I want to try to make it a program in which people just maintain these relationships for all 4 years at RPI and beyond. Starting small, I thought I would add some additional features to the initial form that people fill out to help create effective families with a lot of shared interests. Because I've met some people because we suffered through IEA together, or we both play League. They were both interesting ways to get to know people, so I want to be able to enable this experience for everyone. And so, additionally, I hope to add alumni to the families. I personally got to work and learn under a senior, who taught me a lot about getting involved in research. And I want to be able to make sure that this broad, more seasoned advice is available to everyone at large if they so want it. Another thing I'd like to add would be a sort of mentor boot camp, not boot camp, but camp that they could attend in order to just help them get ready for the incoming wave of freshmen. This could be held in aid with LEAP or alumni, and we just go over ways to help get people ready for the program at large. Hopefully, with all of this in mind, I would be able to improve the longevity of families so that they bond better, there's things they can talk about and do stuff together. And hopefully we can keep a close-knit community here at SASE and RPI at large. Thank you, and I hope to see you at the forum. Well, I guess we're at the forum, so I hope to see you around.
All right, Tim, you still have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Do you want to elaborate on your campaign or maybe yourself?
I think I got across all the points I wanted to in the video, so I'm okay.
Okay, great. Then, Chris, let's bring out our next candidate. So, Amber Kesapradist, come back to the stage for day 2.
Okay.
We have 5
Hello.
minutes.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Amber Kesapradist. You said it correctly, Kevin. Good job. Um, I'm a senior dual majoring in design, innovation, and society, and in mechanical engineering. I am running for mentor program co-director because I have been a mentor for the past 4 semesters, and I believe that making connections through mentor families help people feel more at home at RPI. I plan to create more events for mentors and mentees, both in-person meetings like going to a trampoline park or roller skating, and virtual meetups like escape rooms and paint and sip events that we had with Sweet. As we think about the future, I think that we should keep our mentor families instead of going back to individual pairings, as this will allow freshmen to share experiences with each other, like as Tim said, IEA bonding. As we create more events, this will give members more opportunities to bond with each other and attract other students to become mentors and other freshmen to join as mentees. During NRB, I want to use this time to promote the mentor program as a place where students can gain connections with fellow freshmen and future mentors. As a mentor program co-director, future, I hope to check in with all mentors every month and see how each family is doing. I also want to connect the future alumni with students that have the same major for career advice and or academic help, as many classes are going to be very difficult as time comes. Thank you for listening.
All right, great. Thank you, Amber. So finally, we have Fiona Chen. Fiona, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
All right, cool. You have 5 minutes on the stage. Go
You
for
can
it.
just play the video.
Okay, that's cool too.
Hello, my name's Fiona and I'm a freshman and I'm majoring in environmental engineering and I'm going to run for mentor program co-head with Tim. I'm running for mentor program co-head because the mentor program has made a really large impact on my life in like my first semester here. And when I first entered RPI, like I didn't know anyone, so obviously I wanted to make friends, and the mentor program really helped me make friends. Like it made one of my closest friends, Tim, and it definitely helped me get through IEA. Like without it, I don't know if I would have passed that class. One of my favorite memories from the mentor program is when we got ice cream in super cold weather, or when we went hiking. That was really fun. We got Chipotle after, and I'm really excited to just help like the mentor program grow and like help it form new friendships. And next fall there's going to be a whole bunch of new freshmen, just like how like I was, and they're all going to be looking for new friends. At RPI now, I'm currently a part of WMP, and that's the Women's Mentor Program, if you don't know what that is. And similar to SASE, they also have a mentor program. But something that I like about SASE's mentor program more is the fact that we're not grouped by major. So I get to meet a whole bunch of different people, like not just people that are restricted in my major. And at SACE now, Tim and I helped plan the Valentine's Day event, which was really fun. Something came up and I wasn't able to attend, but I saw all the different results and all the different cards, and they looked really fun and really cool. And something that I like noticed that I would really need as a mentor program co-head is definitely creativity, because like coming up with unique event ideas is definitely difficult, and being able to plan ahead and also like finding alternatives when encountering different problems. Like when we had to come up with the slideshow, like we came up with all of these different alternatives to help like make it look a lot nicer and stuff like that. I'm really excited to be running for mentor program co-head because I like obviously want it to do really well, and I'm also really excited because I get to work with Tim even more. I think we work really well together. We worked in IEA together a lot last semester, And there have been countless times where I was like really upset about IEA and he like cheered me up, but it just shows that like we work really well together and he's gonna be there and like we're gonna help each other a lot. Like I definitely have my strengths and weaknesses, and so does Tim, and I think we just balance each other out really well. So we brainstormed a whole bunch of different ideas for the mentor program together, and some of the like top ones that we've come up with is definitely like trying to form a more direct connection to alumni. I don't actually talk to that many alumni, and I think it would be really cool to be able to talk to them more and have a more direct connection. So trying to get alumni into each mentor family is definitely a really big goal of ours. And something else that we have kind of played around with is called a mentor camp. We're hoping that we can host one to try and get all the mentors to like bond together, and also like I just think it'll be really fun, and like all the mentors can talk about like what worked and how to keep the mentor families active and whatnot. And by making sure that the mentor program is the best that it can be, it'll help everyone be connected even in times like now in COVID, and also help retain members for SASE overall. And I'm really excited to just make it happen. So thank you for listening, and I hope to talk to all of you soon.
So that is our third and final candidate. So I guess let's move right into the questioning period.
Great. Once again, we will give a few moments for the audience to upvote and add their own questions. All right. So the first question we have for you guys today is, what is your plan for monitoring and upkeep for with mentors and their interactions with their mentees? Please describe the process, starting with Tim.
I think a pretty good solution would just be to ask like one or two mentors out of each family if they'd have extra time to perhaps meet every now and then, or just even just send like a quick text saying like, or email saying like, hi, this is how it's going, here's what we've been doing and whatnot. And I think that'd be a pretty simple solution and while maintaining effectiveness. So yeah.
Amber, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thanks. So as I said earlier, I think that as co-directors, we would have the responsibility of over the mentors and mentees. So I think that every month we should send out an email to the mentors saying, hey, what's up? How's it going? And then every time we have an event planned, you send out an email saying, oh, remember to encourage your mentees to go to these events. I hope this will attract people's attention.
Fiona, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, you're okay. Building off of what Tim said, I think that there are enough e-board members to the point where there's at least one e-board member per mentor family, and I think it would be really helpful to like maybe not during the e-board meetings because that can get kind of hectic, but like take some separate time to kind of like talk to different e-board members and see how it's going within each of the mentor family. And also like I know we do like an end of the semester kind of like feedback form, but I think it would be helpful to have like one in the middle of the semester as well.
All right. So the next question for you guys is, how will you deal with mentor families as we move back in person or hybrid? For example, going back to pairings, keeping families, etc. Starting with Fiona.
I think if we move back in person, we can continue doing in-person or virtual meetings. I think it's like fully dependent on the mentor family itself because some people have their own preferences. And I personally want mentor families to kind of feel like a friend group rather than like an obligation to have to meet with them and whatnot. And I also think that I would want to keep them as families because keeping them at families kind of provides you with a larger group and it doesn't like limit you to just one person or like two people.
Amber, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thanks. So I think that we should keep mentor families so that the freshmen can get to know each other through these families instead of just getting to know one or two other people in SASE. This will also increase the amount of people that we can advertise to about SASE and the events that we have.
All right. Tim, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'm okay. I think that keeping it as families is pretty good because it allows people to network more widely instead of it just being like one or two individuals and feeling more of like actually like a mentor student relationship. It's quite literally like a family, and this allows them to get to know people that are inside of their cohort better as well as network with other people. And if it's a family, then there's also more mentors. This means there's more like variable experience that they can get, and they can also network with those people and get other opinions that isn't just from one person.
All right. And for the final question for you three is, what is your plan for the future of alumni within the mentor program? Sorry, let me repeat that. What is your plan for the future of alumni within the mentor program? Starting with Tim. Tim, you're still muted.
Sorry about that. I thought if I unmuted on my, yeah, whatever. Anyways, I was hoping that for the mentor families, I'd be able to get at least one or two in each family. They generally have a more in-depth experience and like networking and job hunting and all those skills that you need to develop as an adult, as a professional. And I just hope that, you know, we could ask some mentors to see if they could invite any old mentors back that they had when they were a mentee into the program. That was just one idea I had. And I don't know, I've had a very good experience with my mentors as well as alumni I've met through the panels, so I'm hoping I'd be able to extend that experience to other mentees if I were co-head.
All right. Amber, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thanks. I totally agree with Tim. Bringing in alumni to the mentor families would increase the networking and allow students to get career advice, where you can look at resumes or portfolios or even practice an elevator pitch speech. So I think that having alumni within the mentor families is a really good opportunity for everyone.
All right. Fiona, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, it's okay. Similar to Amber and Tim, I do think that bringing alumni into a mentor family is a good idea because it also allows mentees to have a direct connection with alumni, and like it doesn't matter if the alumni is like in the same major or anything, because networking is like still networking at the end of the day. And I know that Kevin and Nathan, as the old mentor program co-heads, they started to lay a foundation for alumni, and I hope to like continue that. And Nathan also mentioned yesterday on how he wants to reach out to different organizations like NSBE, and I think like they also have a connection with alumni that we can also like work with.
All right, wonderful. Thank you to you three. So let's move on to the last position of the night and the entire general e-board election, which is the photo cinematography director. So we only have one candidate for this, but before we tell you about that candidate, let's talk about the position. So as the name might roughly suggest to those of you that understand what the word means, a lot of it deals with taking pictures and developing cinematography, as the name suggests, in order to post onto our Instagram, our Facebook, whatever it may be. Anything that you guys see that we post most likely has been touched by the photo cinematographer director or photo cinematography director. And so anything dealing with media assets and regulating what goes outside of our e-board meetings in terms of ads, they're the one who maintains a certain aesthetic or a level of posts a week, whatever it may be. Anything dealing with aesthetics, they're the one that helps us with it. And so let's bring out our one candidate, who is Dinh. T, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
All right, T. We have your video. Do you want to play your video first or talk a little bit, since you have seemingly about 1 minute and 30?
Just you can just play the video.
Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Dinh. I am a junior math major and I would like to run for the SASE position of photo cinematographer. So the role of this position is to advertise and showcase the events that SASE does as a professional development organization. The reason why I want to run for this position is because I believe I have the experience, the skills, as well as an eye for aesthetics and visuals to get the attention of the audience, to join SASE as it helps you achieve your career potential. But instead of just talking about my experience and skills, I think it would be better if I just show them to you. One of the jobs the photo cinematographer has is to create graphics for our events to get people interested in attending. The programs that I've used are Metabang and Canva. Metabang is a digital art software, but I've also used it to do some Photoshop work with it. Like for example, here's a fix of my messy hair for a thumbnail. I've used Metabang to create this recent graphic of the Valentine's Day event as well. Originally, the biggest job of a photo cinematographer is to take pictures of our in-person events. Assuming that next year we will be returning back to normal, I am ready to bring this job back. I recently went out to do a self-photo shoot, so if I can get these pictures without knowing my current lighting or angles, I can make you guys look 10 times better than this. So now you guys know about my photography and photo editing skills. But I also have video editing skills that I want to make use of for SASE. Something new that I would like to introduce to SASE is creating videos, like short clips of reviews or trailers of our events in our club. I use Filmora to edit my videos. Here are some examples of the work that I've done for Eighth Wonder. I think these would be great in displaying our social and welcoming environment while maintaining our business-like professional purpose. Now this is a perfect lead into my talk about experience now. I'm currently in the PR committee where I've helped Min and Dylan come up with captions for our event posts on our social media. Besides visuals, I think that words are another great way to capture our audience's interest. I'm also currently the music chair and part of the YouTube crew of Eighth Wonder. That's where all my video and audio editing skills come from, and I would like to use those skills to help out SASE as your new photo cinematographer. I think it's one thing to advertise via text messages and announcements on our Messenger group chat and Discord, but I think it's a whole nother level if we can visually appeal to our members and community about the great things that SASE does. I hope this presentation/speech was fun and informational for you to watch. I hope to see you guys at the forum and you can ask me any questions that you may have. Thank you.
All right. Once again,
Quick thing. T, did you want to spend the rest of your time? You had about 1 minute and 30 seconds to say anything.
I think yeah, I'm good. Please go to questions.
Okay, Chris, down to you.
All right. Once again, we're going to give the audience a moment to add and upvote questions. All right. T, so the first question we have for you today is, what marketing policy do you intend to enact to target an incoming online and in-person audience? What is the process of said policy?
So I think like for my role, it's more like it's like support role than like kind of a leading. So for like marketing policy, I feel like as I said in the video, there's like a form that that anyone could like fill, not anyone, sorry, like events director could fill out to just get organized on which events I should make a big graphic for to advertise. So I guess like for policy, then like I just have anyone or not any, sorry any board member like to let me know like what events we're gonna be doing and then I'll have like the graphic done within like shortly, and then it'll be released at least a week before the actual date.
All right, see. So the second question for you is, what creative direction do you intend to advance the chapter's media towards? Please describe your creative and marketing intent.
So for I'll keep going with the graphics advertisement that we're doing, and I would also like to bring back like the photography that for especially for in-person events that we used to do. Um and there's something new that I wanted to introduce, like it's a new creative idea that I have is to like make videos, like I said in the video. Um I like if it's in person, then while I'm taking like photos of the events, I could also take like videos and I'll edit that together. It'll be like a cute like review kind of event, so like we can post on Insta afterwards, like to have people like know like what happened and how they can attend like the next one. Um, and like for events that like I can make like trailers as well. So obviously like I can't like take a video of that something that hasn't happened yet. So um I'm trying to get more in like to animation to advertise events like that as well. Um so yeah, there's just like new creative things that I'm working on.
All right. And so the final question for you today is, what is your familiarity level with graphic design software? Name and state experience level with intent to use software.
So I've had I did digital art a lot. I had like a lot of years. I did that like since high school. So I used that a lot to Photoshop and like draw stuff myself. Um, Canva I just recently got into because of stuff like Wesley and Kevin have like showed me, and that definitely like is really helpful, and I want to get more into that. It's even though it's like new for me, it's not that hard for me to learn something new like that. Like any arts related things, like I pick up really fast. So I would definitely make use of those softwares. And it may be like along the way, if I find something that's more like you like helpful, then I could pick that up as well. But for now, like definitely Medibang and Canva.
All right, thank you, T, for your
Thank you.
wonderful video and answering those questions. And so,
Thank you.
does anyone have any questions for, I don't know, in general, I guess? This time you can put it directly in the chat if you want to know anything. But just to recap what we mentioned yesterday, the voting ballots will be sent out tonight, technically, at 2100. Wait, no, should be later than that, right? It's whenever Eric, yeah. So I guess it's already
Yeah,
out.
so tonight, your ballots, if you guys have voted in the presidential elections, they will be sent out the same exact format. It will be at 2100 Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. for all you non-military people. And it will be closing promptly on Tuesday. That is the 2nd of March, okay? This gives you guys 3 days to fill out the ballot, to watch this recording if you're watching this on WebEx or YouTube. And we look forward to your vote. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.
Yeah, and that concludes day 2 and the entirety of the SASE Rensselaer General Election Forum. Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Smash that like button. Boom.
Yeah, smash that like button.
Also, thank you to our sponsors, Boeing and Cigna, for supporting us. Thank you.
Shout out to Boeing and Cigna. You guys are
All right.
G's.
We'll see you guys whenever. Thank you for watching and joining us.